Welcome to Module 6. In this module, we are going to be discussing Copilot in Outlook. That's right. We are already creating great emails. We are summarizing our emails. We pay attention to all of our 10,000 items in our inbox. We know exactly who's sending email, how prioritized they are, who's sending it, from whom, from where. And the meetings, we know exactly when the meetings are going to take place. Not even close. And that's why Copilot can help you. Copilot in Outlook will be able to help you summarize those emails, how important they are. I'll be able to look back and see that chain of email that I have, how important it is. Are there any action items? Are there any emails sent to me that I need to be really concerned about? And at the same time, I can look at my schedule. I want to have a meeting with Mindy on Monday. Can you look at our schedule and see which time is best for us to do this? Maybe a 30-minute. Set up a meeting between the two of us with this particular content. Here it is. Do you want to send it? Yes or no? This is what we're going to be discussing with Outlook. Now, with Outlook, I can make my email a lot more workable. I call this my workflow is going to now be enhanced by Copilot. So let's talk about drafting, engaging emails and conversations, simplifying meetings in administration of that, and of course, be able to access content as well. And as we know, because we are working with Copilot in our organization, we'll be able to deal with these emails with our teams and also summarize those emails and be able to understand whom else. Maybe there are meetings. Maybe there are documents that we want to be able to collaborate, and we'll be able to do that very easily with Copilot. So what about drafting those emails? What do I need to know to draft an email with Copilot? Well, simply, I can open up Copilot, in this case, open up Outlook, access Copilot, and start drafting an email. Immediately, by simply clicking the button, I'll be able to start a conversation. Maybe I just want to respond to a particular note. With that, I can also, just as you saw on Microsoft Word, and of course in Excel or in PowerPoint, I can change the tone, I can change the length, I can rewrite that email any way that I want. And I can also ask Copilot to be more clear. Maybe I'm not a great writer, and now I'll be able to really enhance that quality on my communication. And with that, I can also look at the key information. Maybe there are some key insights that I want to extract from those emails. First, when I look at drafting that email, right, I can simply start from scratch. Maybe I want to create a marketing email. I want to look at an existing email from the customer. I want to summarize that email chain. I want to be able to respond with key insights from that customer. I also want to be able to compose an email based on a request or a feedback, or write back. Maybe it's just a simple thank you note, but I want it to be more insightful on what I have done. So there are many ways for us to be more engaging, more professional with our use of AI and Copilot within those contexts of the email. So how do I really improve that context? Well, crafting effective emails. We did mention that. I can ask Copilot, for example, I may have a specific subject line. I want that to be more specific. Call it directly to the point. Maybe I want to be able to organize a content a little bit more logically. Or I want to be able to ensure that the appropriate tone, I want this to be more formal, or I want it to be more informal, or just more friendly. I can then set the tone within my email. Now, I can also get coaching. This is one of the I would say most important parts of that. Built into Copilot in my Outlook, I also get coaching. I can write an email and then ask Copilot, coach me on this. What about the length? What about the voice? And Copilot can go through a set of those steps to help us enhance our delivery of that. It improves our quality of communication considerably. We did mention about the email threads. That's also a very important aspect. I send an email to you, you send it back to me, I send it back to you. Before we know, we have 30 emails on that thread. Where did it start? What is the important points? Why did it get to this point? We can ask Copilot to summarize. It's always a challenge to work with those thread long emails. Now we have Copilot to help us summarize and extract the key elements, the key insights from these emails. So I can simply say, look at this email with this particular individual in my organization, summarize, look at the opportunities. Maybe let's generate a summary email, delete that old thread, let's start a new one, for example. Clean up a little bit on that. I can also set priorities. I can go through my email and say, I want Copilot, I want you to simplify this. I want to simplify these meetings, but at the same time, summarize my emails, prioritize them. Now, one of the key elements that I'll be able to look at when I'm trying to administer my meetings is be able to do that. I want to be able to tell Copilot, I want to look for a particular time that I can have these meetings. Well, how many meetings do I have next week, next quarter, next month, for example? I want to be able to analyze that. I want to be able to create a meeting, create meeting invitations, and I can also leverage Copilot coaching to help me do that. Now, scheduling those meetings, very easily. I can call Copilot and say, schedule a meeting with a particular individual or my organization on this particular date, or say, look for a 30-minute availability where we can meet together on this particular subject, right? I can also add, let's say, attendees. Maybe I have multiple attendees that I want to verify their availability. I can ask Copilot for that as well. Now, drafting an email with a prompt, one thing that I can do is the agenda. I want to be able to set the agenda, ask Copilot to help me refine that agenda. I also want to be able to ask Copilot to draft the body of that content, right? So draft the agenda, add content, and then bring in the people that are going to be participating. There are many, many of those examples in terms of prompts available in the prompt gallery as well. But just set the tone. Imagine this. I need the agenda, I need the content, and I need a summarization of what people should expect. Help me do that. That's what Copilot is there to assist you. Now, what about after the meeting? Well, after the meeting, we have those summaries. I can do a follow-up. I want you to follow up on this email, look at the key elements, look at the insights, look at the conversation, respond in this way, look at the meeting summaries that we did. Maybe this was recorded in Teams. Go in and get that entire summary. Let's email back to the team. And the best part of this, it can be in languages, many languages. I can look at the email that is written in English and say, summarize this in Portuguese, or vice versa. I received email from various customers in various languages, and I can say, no matter what language it is, respond to this or summarize to me in a particular format or a particular language. Or maybe I want the summaries to come in a bullet point format or a table format. Or my meeting invites. I want to list all the meetings that I have, everyone that's open, what is the particular subject. If there is any action items, I can do that as well. So I can set the reminders for those meetings, and Copilot can create the reminder, and I can accept that. So again, setting up the prompts to help me manage my schedule, manage my meetings, and manage the teams that I'll be meeting with that as well. So now that we have an understanding of how Copilot can help us in our meetings and, of course, in our communication, let's take a look at a demonstration on how to do this in Outlook. I'm going to start by opening up an existing set of emails, asking some questions, and then asking Copilot to draft us some emails, and then follow up on some of those in terms of the meeting times and so forth. Let's take a look. So here we are in Outlook. This is my real Outlook in my corporate. Notice that I have a mailbox that I call ADO, and I have a lot of bugs, a lot of tickets in this ADO. On the top right-hand corner, I have Copilot that I can access. So notice here, I can have Copilot that says I can draft, which means draft new email. I can also prioritize my email. Maybe that is some email from some individuals. I can prioritize and say this email Very important, put this on the top for me, and I can configure my settings. But for now, I'm going to simply ask Copilot. When I click Ask Copilot, I can say what or how many SE bugs were assigned to me. So Copilot is going to look at that prompt. It's going to look at this particular mailbox, and then it's going to give me a list of all of those SE bugs that were assigned to me. Here it is. So if I want to see how important they are, I can open up any one of these SE bugs and review them. Now, notice there is also, I mentioned about references. These numbers that I see on each one of those are the references. Those are the emails that make reference to those assignments that were to me. I was like, this is great. Now, supposedly, I want to be able to respond to one of these. I can see this email right there. That is Mangong, one of my colleagues, send this email. Maybe I want to be able to respond to this email. Now, how do I respond that? Well, maybe I want to summarize first, get a quick summary of this email. There is a bug, there's a problem. Once I have that, I can now begin to say, maybe I want to respond to that. How do I respond? I can say to Copilot, create a sample, or in this case, a detailed, or just respond. Respond to this email in a polite way. I'm just going to say polite way. Respond to this email in a polite way. Now, Copilot is going to look at the message that is open, and he's going to open up notice they open up the draft mode. And from draft mode, I already put in the source, the colleague that submitted this email. It gave the subject, and now it's ready for me to begin to say what I want, or to prepare what I want to say on this. And I can begin to say, thank you for submitting this bug report. Now I can say, submit that. And if I do this, it is going to now write that sample. And here it is. It was very clear that it took the context of that bug and it wrote a sample, or in this case, a draft of the email. I will, of course, read this email and see if it makes sense to me. And now I can decide if I want to keep, or if I say, rewrite it, just as we saw before. So rethink the response, and maybe the response is still a little too long. I can say, make it shorter. It's a little bit too long. Oh, even shorter. Make it even shorter. So now it's going to be maybe 1 paragraph long. Thank you for the detailed response. Okay, now it's beginning to look much better, but I still need to go through it because it is my assistant, it's my co-pilot. I'm still the co-pilot, so I need to review and validate that this is the best response. Also, notice that I have now 4 versions to work with. And remember, just as we saw it before, if I choose one of these versions, the others are deleted. And notice here, I can ask Copilot to make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone. The tone could be more direct. I can also make it more casual. I can make it more formal, or like a poem. Oh, I don't want a poem right now, although it would be nice. You got a ticket, you got a poem. That'll be fun. I can also customize this draft. When I click on customize the draft, it says, oh, if you want to do that, you have to discard everything you have done before. Do you want to do that? No, I want to stay here. I think this is looking good, so I'm going to go ahead and accept it. To accept, I just select the version that I want, and I click keep it. That's it. This is my first email. Now, what if I want to start an email from scratch? Well, first let's delete this email, and let's say I want to create a new email. Now, you saw that today I had a quick meeting with Mindy. What about if I want to start drafting an email to Mindy about that project? I can say, for example, that here you see the Copilot button, and I click on Copilot and say, create an email, responding, or generate. Let's say generate a new email asking Mindy for a status of the solar power project. And notice that I left Mindy in lowercase. I could even have misspelled a couple items in here, but Copilot is going to then generate a polite note asking about that status. I hope you're doing well. I am reaching out, requesting. This is kind of a lengthy, just to ask for a request. So I'll ask Copilot, make it a little bit shorter again. There it is, much shorter email. Oh, I like this one. I'm going to keep that. Okay? So I can start an email just like that. And now that I have selected, I'm going to keep it. And one thing that I can do, I can be more efficient. Supposedly I have the body of my email, and I simply want to change this body of the email. I can click on Copilot, and I can say auto rewrite to rethink your response, write it again. And I can also, just as we said before, maybe I want to make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone. But for now, I'm just going to keep it the way it is. So let's go ahead and say keep it. Replace, and it's done. Now, remember that I can request meeting with anyone, right? Because I am in email, and I want to be able to do that. At the same time, let's say that I want to find a time that I want to have this meeting with someone. So if I am using Copilot and I, let's say, want to set a meeting we call this the draft line, I can only draft and I can set the settings, but I can also get coaching. We did mention about the coaching. When I open the coaching, it's going to review my meeting, and then it's going to make some suggestions, replace some items, say something instead of something else, right? Add in specific things, maybe that is that you forgot to put in a statement thanking, right? It will then coach you on how to respond to that. All right, I'm going to leave this aside because I want to show you one more thing. When I click on Copilot, and as we know, Copilot is now connected to our organization. So because it is connected to our organization, I can look for individuals. So here it is. If I put this slash, I can see all the individuals, people in my organization, files that I created, meetings, emails. It's all available here. What if I want to have a meeting with Mindy about the project? So I can ask Copilot to look for or create a meeting with a meeting called, right, project status update for Monday with Mindy, and I put slash, and I can type in Mindy. Come on. Slash. There we go. And I'll look for Mindy. There we go. Mindy Johnson. So create a meeting called Project Status with Mindy Johnson. Look for a 30-minute slot where both of us are available. There we go. So I can have Copilot be my assistant, go through the calendar, and see a time that both of us are available. Here it is, project status update. It says Monday, 4/28, 9 to 9:30. Both of us are available. I can send the meeting invite right away, or I can click edit, and I can modify the meeting to my heart's content. So if I want to be able to say certain things, add comments, add project updates, I can do that. What if I want to add a document into the meeting? I could do the same thing. I can write a project that says schedule this meeting, append or add this document or the content of this document as part of the meeting as well. So these are things that I can do. Now, what about my calendar? Can I also use Copilot in my calendar? One of the things we saw there in terms of Copilot understands how your calendar is configured. So if I am using Copilot Chat, which I can access right here from Outlook, I will be able to have access to my calendar from here as well. So now I can say, what is the last email that I received from, and there we go. What is the last email that I received from, and I'll put Mindy. Come on. People, and that is Mindy Johnson. So if I say, what is the last email that I received from Mindy, I will get a list of all the emails, but particularly the last one. Another thing that I can do is I can say from here about the availability. I could also ask, what is the availability of this schedule for both of us for a meeting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Or I can ask, what are the meetings that I have on my schedule for next week? Now, Copilot is going to go through my calendar because it is attached to my organization. It knows, connects to Graph, and will be able to give me a list of all my meetings for next week. There it is. I have this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, what I didn't tell people is that I'll be teaching all week, and I will not be able to attend any of these meetings. But that's okay. At least Copilot knows about my schedule. I love that. All right, so this should give us an idea of using Copilot in our Outlook. I hope this was useful and you were able to access that. Before we leave this section, I want to point out, and we did discuss this, on the bottom here, I also have View Prompts. And when you click on View Prompts, it allows me to access existing prompts. Let's say I want to do schedules. These are examples. Find time to meet, schedule a meeting. I also have catch up. I have all these meetings, catch up on my emails. What should be on my radar for emails last week, for example. I can do that. I also have ask. Maybe I want to, what can I do? Find files or find the content. And I have take action. All right? Move emails from to. So that's right. If I want to move an email from one particular, like from my inbox into archive or delete, I could do that as well. Okay. This should conclude this quick example on using your Microsoft Copilot in your Outlook. Now that we have seen how Copilot in Outlook works, and we have experienced that, I was able to demonstrate some of those capabilities. We have put in front of you an exercise or a challenge for you, right? Imagine that you are the project manager we talked about before in Contoso. You have a lot of projects going on, and you need to be able to draft communication, look at the status of the project, be able to draft a launch product process with your teams. In this exercise, that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to draft an email, and then you're going to schedule a meeting. You're going to also conduct, we're going to look at it from a message perspective, conduct a meeting in your teams, and then be able to retrieve the summary of the meeting and forward that to your team as well. Do a follow-up with your attendees. So putting it all together to give you that perspective of how collaborative you can be leveraging Teams and also leveraging your Copilot in Outlook. And to close this module, another knowledge check for you, again, following the same approach as before, where you're going to leverage Copilot to generate 3 multiple choice questions on Microsoft 365 Copilot in Outlook and generate all of those questions at the same time, wait for you to respond, and then provide you a brief explanation of the correct answer before moving on to the next one. With that, it gives us a summary of all of these modules. So what did we cover in this module number 6? Well, we talked about Copilot in Outlook. How can we be more productive, leveraging, managing our Outlook messages, enhancing our communication, being more proactive, understanding what's in my mailbox, summarize that content, drafting proper emails, be precise on how we want to say the right way, say the right tone. Also improving our productivity in terms of managing those features of my users, my content, my tasks, my calendar, and of course, be able to simplify the meeting management, identify times in our schedule, identify the agenda, the teams that I can meet, and be a lot more proactive in real time. With that, team, we conclude module number 6. I hope this was a useful session for you, and you're looking forward to use Copilot in Outlook. And now we are going to review the last module, which is talking about Copilot in Microsoft Chat.